Hello, I'm Ilene Wood, and this is today's episode of Bag Lunch. Today we are going to look at some of my new arrivals. And by that I mean, seeing as we've all been stuck at home under the pandemic watch, I have spent a little bit of time scrolling around the internet to locate some new and interesting bags to add to the collection. So the next several episodes will be introducing some of those new bags that I have acquired. Today's bags have a summery theme because we are on the cusp of summer and we're all thinking bright and happier days ahead. So the bags that I'm going to show you today feature florals and wicker and all kinds of fun, bright, light things that make us think of summer. And then there's one bag that doesn't, but I'll explain that in a second. This first bag looks like a straw hat, but the fact is, it is a handbag. Open it up, and it comes from a fine company, a vintage company called Joseph, who is known for doing a number of lovely bags that many of them were evening bags. So I'm kind of surprised to see this straw bag, but his bags were very imaginative and original. And this one is just an adorable bag to carry on a summer day. People will think you're carrying your hat, but it's really your handbag. And what goes around comes around, because here is a bag from the well-known designer Eugenia Kim, who is mostly known for hats. And here she has taken one of her hats and applied suede to the back with her label. And she has done an updated and modern version of the hat bag that we just saw. So while this one is not truly a summer bag because it is dark and it is wool, I felt that the two of these bags needed to be shown together. And it's another example of everything old is new again. This next bag is from a French company called Gem & Puch, and they're located in Paris. And what I love about this company, it's a husband and a wife, and they do innovative bags that are not necessarily concerned with what's happening in fashion. They have their own unique point of view, and a lot of their bags center on travel and on summertime. And they do a number of bags that are hand crocheted out of raffia, as this one is. They also do a lot of bags that feature beading and ribbons and evening bags. But what they all have in common is they're little works of art, and they're not concerned with the fashion that is popular at the time. So here's a little Gem & Puch bag, and it is all hand crocheted out of raffia with little bone buttons. And this is a bone ring, and this is all hand stitching, whip stitching. So it's a lot of hand detail. And another of their bags, to give you an example of how they're not really concerned with what's happening in fashion. This is another Gem & Puch bag, which is a summer bag. And it's quite unusual in that the color olive green is not normally one that we would think of as a summer color. But this bag is supposed to feel like an inflatable pool toy, and it's got a little stem that you would blow into. And it's got a little dangle that looks like a duck, like a float. And if you notice, the handle is done out of what looks like nautical rope. So it's just an unusual bag, and they're very different, and they're very interesting and unique. And they come from Gem & Puch, who is a Parisian firm. This lovely bag is an interesting combination. It is a very traditional leather frame bag from the early 60s, and it's done by Richard Corrette, the Corrette Company. I've shown you their bags before. They're beautifully well made, very fine quality, but what makes this one most special is the inset in the front that is all hand embroidered. And on the sides, there is some chintz that mimics the design of the front pattern, the basket of flowers. So this is a very special and lovely bag from Corrette. And we know it's Corrette also because it has their signature red lining. and this one is stamped Made in Italy. I'm going to show you several bags from the early 60s that are wicker bags. 2 of them from one company, a 3rd from someone else. This first one is from a company called Midas of Miami, and they did bags that featured a lot of applied decoration, flowers and glitter and beads, and most of their bags took this shape and form, and they had these braided handles, and this is a very typical bag for them. This bag would come in possibly 2 or 3 different sizes. I've seen it in various versions, but this one is quite lovely. It's little velvet flowers that look like pansies, and they are glued to the front of the bag with velvet leaves, and it's ornamented with beadwork. Now, another bag from Midas of Miami. Here's another Midas of Miami bag. And this one, as you notice, is very similar to the last. It's much larger in size. However, the form and construction are much the same. This bag is unusual because I believe it was done for the Miami market, meaning it was done for a tropical year-round climate. Because if you look at the subject matter, my interpretation is this is a hat box that's wrapped for Christmas. And we've got red flowers, which I believe are meant to be poinsettias. And on the top are a couple of envelopes, which I believe represent Christmas cards. So here we've got a white wicker Christmas handbag. And it makes a lot of sense if you consider that the company was in Florida, and therefore this would be appropriate at Christmas time. The next bag is similar to the last, and this one is a higher end chic version of what you have just seen. And this was made in Italy for Saks Fifth Avenue. And if you notice, it's a beautiful bag that is out of wicker, but this wicker has been encased in vinyl to keep it pristine, to make it shiny, and to make it able to be wiped clean. And on the front, once again, we have an envelope, but this one is much more detailed and beautiful stamps and destinations. And there was a type of bag that I might have mentioned in an earlier program that was called the destination bag. They were very popular in the early 60s, and they showed tropical and exotic destinations for vacations. And this is a summer wicker version of a destination bag. So thank you for joining me for today's episode of Bag Lunch. Please join us for the next one.